it's time we had to talk about what's really going on in the market. And I'm really gearing this video to sellers, especially obviously in Southwest Florida. Texas and Florida are experiencing true buyer's markets. And there's a lot of caveats to what's happening in 2025 that are different than other market years. And there's a lot of critical elements that I think you're going to want to listen to. And I'm the agent that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, if you want to truly sell your property in 2025. So definitely stay tuned to this video. Share it with anybody that you feel like you want to share it with. But I'm here to tell you the truth, good, the bad, the ugly, to get your house sold for the highest and best price and terms possible in Southwest Florida in 2025. So please stay tuned. First and foremost, I'm in Sarasota, Florida. I've been here selling since 2002, so I've seen a lot of markets. This one is a buyer's market again, but there's definitely some interesting differences in what we've seen in past buyer's markets. So I don't even know where to start here, but I guess, like I said, if you want to sell your property, it's like you don't want to be with an agent that's just going to tell you what you want to hear, like your property's worth $5 million when it's really $3 million or whatever. That doesn't do anybody any good. First of all, when I'm out here hustling and showing property, I want to know that I'm within a reasonable margin of where the buyers come and see your property, and then where they actually write an offer. So like the listing price might not always be right on target at first, so you got to feel the market out. But it's important to know when shifts are happening to stay ahead of them, not be the last person on the block to lower the price or get it in a better price position. Because at the end of the day, with a lot of supply for the demand, you don't want to be the last one standing. So sellers right now, there's a lot of things. Sellers right now are experiencing probably at least half the number of showings than we normally would. As I film here, it's February. So our season here historically has been January, February, March, April. Summer is really good though, and it's really good all year. But anyway, normally, we probably would have had like double the showings activity on our listings at this point, but because of the National Association of Realtors settlement that took effect in Florida August 6th, okay, that means that we would have probably had whatever, double the showings, let's say, but most of those would have been what we call tire kickers, right? They're not as serious because they don't have to sign in Florida, or they didn't have to sign a buyer-broker agreement or a showing agreement with a realtor prior to seeing scheduled private showings of real estate. So we've eliminated that, and now that's not a bad thing from the seller side, like especially if you live in your house and you're going to be cleaning it and making sure it's perfect, like it's a lot of work, especially if you live in the house, to get it ready, only for people to just be like looking for decorating ideas, right? So we've eliminated that. So the way that I'm explaining it and the way that makes the most common sense for someone to understand it really is like if you're driving 10 miles down the road and one road is through the country and one road is through the city. Right now we're driving through the country, honey. So it might take you the same amount of time to get to your destination or the selling point, the days on the market to sell, but it feels a lot slower because we have lower showings. The affordability is the highest, or the least affordable, I should say, in like 40 years, I think they said. And you couple that with higher supply, and it's not only going to take longer, okay, unless you really undercut your price, because there are people that have done that in certain markets and certain properties, and then you annoy the rest of your neighbors. So that's a different story, but like generally speaking, it's about a 6-month level of inventory here in Sarasota, Florida. Okay, for single family homes, Sarasota County, 6 months, right? So yes, it is generally gonna take longer to sell. And so it feels like you're going through the country. Like you might be slow moving at first, you might not have any showings, first week, 2, 3 weeks even. And then all of a sudden, it's like they come in waves, And February is funny like that. January's hit or miss because kids are just going back to school and they're settling in, and then it takes February to start getting people like, okay, we need to get out of town, we want to get out of this cold. So it's the level of inventory, the National Association of Realtors settlement, right? So we're eliminating most of those looky-loo, tire kicker type buyers that we call them in the industry. Don't be offended, okay? This is just what we say. That's another reason why I'm doing a lot of open houses, because we want people to feel like they can come and see the property. Maybe they just are apprehensive to signing with any particular agent, which I understand. Like, the buyer broker agreements and the showing agreements are not a new concept. If you go in the playlist, you'll see like all the videos I've done about this settlement. It's not a new concept at all. And in fact, a lot of the states have been using them, but now it's just a national requirement for buyers to sign with an agent. And just so you know, on the back end of things, like if we don't have one signed prior to scheduling showings with the buyer, we could be fined. So up to a certain point, we could lose our license. So it's not worth it. And it brings forth a discussion to buyers like, are you really serious? Are you pre-approved? Do you have proof of cash? Like, it's for the dialogue about the commission and what we're going to do for you and you for us and the loyalty and all that. So it's not a bad thing. So I hope that makes sense. The affordability thing, there are ways around it. We can buy down the rates. We can ask the seller to contribute toward that. And there's actually other ways you can get, the financing, so to speak. You can borrow from a portfolio. There's even, if you have a universal whole life, universal life insurance policy, you can actually borrow from your life insurance if you have a policy like that. And it's like you get the money quickly. It's a really low rate. It's way lower than what the standard is out there for Fannie and Freddie. So there are other options, and there are new construction deals too. So outside of the resale properties, there are options. And sellers are realizing that, we're not getting the 2020 to 2021 pricing increases of 50%. It's completely unrealistic. Not to mention, we don't know what's going to happen with the new president and the way things are going so quickly. Like, there might be a softening in this market next year in 2026. The affordability is a real issue. So prices have gone so high that people have become unable to afford some of these markets. So we don't know what the future is. All I can tell you is what I advise right now and to the best of my ability. And I've been saying for many, many months leading up to this, as we film February 2025, that it's a very price sensitive market. You can also do creative things as a seller, like offering, hey, we'll pay the full year's HOA dues, but ultimately you're going to get the most attention from the price, because that's what brings buyers in the door outside of your advertising. So it's really primarily the price. Now, I will say there's always caveats to that, where there's higher HOA due communities. So that could be a viable option to attract someone to come through the door as well. But speak to your agent. This is a relationship with your agent. It's not just a one-sided, like, I'm in charge, this is what's up, this is what we have to do. It's not that, but I live, eat, breathe, sleep real estate. And so I can sense things, and I talk to buyers and people coming through this open house today that I'm having, and just the sense from the buyers, and talking to them and like, do they think this house is priced high, or what can we do to help sell it? There's creative ways that agents can, procure a sale. Like, virtual staging is another factor, but it's not the thing that's going to push a buyer over the edge to be like, oh, I'm going to make an offer. So I hope that explains the market a little bit more. I think it's really important when you're hiring an agent in 2025 and going forward in a market that's just more normal. And don't feel like, if it's quiet, again, that's a little bit normal here right now. So, and this is what we're accustomed to. I've been doing this 23 and a half, 24 years. June will be 24 years. But this is kind of what normal feels like. So, everybody's antsy and like, listen, we don't make money until we sell these properties. So for me, I'm like, why would I overprice it exorbitantly and not try to sell it. So ultimately, my goal as your agent is I want to give you the most money back in your pocket net, but that takes time, money, and effort for me, and that comes at a cost for a high quality, high value realtor, and you don't want to skimp on that. You definitely don't want the least amount of exposure. You want great, high class, first class exposure worldwide. A lot of our buyers are coming from Florida, and when we look at the data that trickles out after the first 7 to 10 days, you will notice in a lot of these markets, half of these buyers are looking from Florida. Again, hyper local is what you want. You want an expert who does this full time. You don't want to mess with someone doing this part time, especially in a market like this that's really critical to selling an asset that is usually the highest value asset in someone's lifetime. So you don't want to mess with that. Call your girl, Shayla Twit, 941-544-7690.